Hello, vinyl community. This is Matt, and this is a response video. Um, James Griffiths, who he posted a video a couple of days ago about his dirty little vinyl secret, and I was kind of inspired to do this by Gregory Short, who also posted um, sort of a live response video earlier today. So, if I remember, James's dirty little secret was that um, he had written on records, record sleeves as a kid. And then Greg's secret was that he sometimes plays dirty records. He doesn't clean them first. Um, so I guess the idea of this is really just to admit to something that you may not want, ordinarily want other people, especially in the VC, to know about. And so I got to thinking about this and thought, I'm sure I can think of something pretty embarrassing, and sure enough, I have. So, those of you who've watched some of my videos, you probably know that I'm a pretty big fan of 80s music, and I like most kinds of music, but I have a little mini series that I started, which was a 80s vinyl duo where I show two albums from the 80s. So I've done a few of those installments. And so, yeah, you guys probably know that I do like my 80s music. And it's not that I think the 80s was the greatest decade for music. Um, Objectively, I think that's probably the 70s, and even the 90s would give it a run for its money. But the 80s are nostalgic, that was kind of my era. That's when I grew up for the most part. And one of the things I loved about being a kid in the 80s was you still had discos. Um, of course, disco music itself really died out by the early 80s. Well, it morphed into other things like high energy and so on. But disco as a genre really ceased to be popular in terms of chart music by the early 80s. But you still had discos, at least we call them discos. I guess in the US you might call them dances, but yeah, at schools, I remember there was an annual church disco that my brother and I used to go to. And I always loved the big speakers, and they'd have the disco lights going. That always fascinated me. And I want to say on around my 13th birthday, I was kind of too old for this. um, I was given a set of disco lights as a gift, I think by my parents, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. It was what they call like traffic lights. There were a bank of four of them, and different colors, and they would it would just alternate each light. Light one would blink, then light two, light three, light four, then it would go back to light one. I think they're also called chaser lights because it's in sequence. Um, and it reacted to the sound. It had kind of some kind of sensor built into it, and I think it detected low frequencies, so it could detect like the beat. If it was a fast tempo song, these things would um, blink more quickly. Slow tempo, or if you turn the sound off, they would go really slowly. And one other thing that some of you guys might know about me is I'm pretty big on nostalgia. I like buying things that I used to have when I was a kid. There's a little bit of an obsessive tendency, to be honest. I've previously done it with books, with board games, and I do it with music as well. Not just vinyl, but records and CDs for the most part. And so every now and then, I don't do it very often, but every now and then, if the mood strikes me, I will find an 80s record like I have back here. And, well, enough talk. I'll just show you. All right. But don't tell anyone, okay?